Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Game Changers United. Tonight, we're talking about now what? Navigating life after graduation. My name is Kenesha Brown Alexander, serve as the founder and CEO of Game Changers United. We are just a organization that is all about you, about the students and student athletes who are taking care of your mindset and your well-being as a student and athlete, right? You're balancing all of these things called life, and we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to connect with individuals just like you in safe spaces. And so tonight, we're doing just that. Tonight, we're setting aside just a little bit of time to talk to you, those who have recently graduated college, or perhaps you are getting ready to graduate college. Because the truth of the matter is, you graduate, you have the party, you take the pictures, you might even go on vacation. But what happens next? Nobody talks about the realness that happens when this transition period comes, right? You've been a student, you've been an athlete, you've done all of these things for a lot of time, for a lot of years, and then now it's kind of all over. And so, what happens next? Have you gotten your next job or your first internship? Are you preparing to go to grad school, or are you just taking a year off to figure it out? Tonight, we have some individuals that are in that same space. We have two student athletes who have been just there. We've got a student who graduated in 2025 and one who just graduated this year in 2026. And then we also have an athletic counselor here who is going to give you some tips, some tools on how to protect your mental wellness and how to prioritize just making sure that you take care of yourself while you're in this journey. And so we want you to be engaged. If you have questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat. But as we get started, I want to introduce you to our student athletes. So I am going to kick it off to Miss Anna Toon and allow her to introduce herself.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Anna. I graduated from St. Thomas University in 2025. I was a softball player there. I majored in sports administration, where I met Miss Kenesha, who was one of my professors, and Rudy as well. Was not my professor, but a good friend. Let's see here. Following graduation, I took a contract in Puerto Rico to play softball down there for the summer. Um, After that, I actually ended up tearing my meniscus down there. So I came home to have surgery. I'm in the process of recovering right now, and I am working to save up for my next adventure. So that's a little bit about me, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Rudiana.
Hello, welcome. My name is Rudiana. The year I graduated was this year, class of 2026. The sport I played was flag football at Florida Memorial for my first year, and then I transferred to St. Thomas University, where I recently just graduated from. And I would say that after graduation, just trying to figure it out, trying to get a job in my field and see what's next to come.
Awesome. And Rochelle.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel. I got my Bachelor of Science in Psychology at Oral Roberts University in 2023, and I just finished my Master's in Professional Counseling at the same university, ORU, this past May. I'm currently trying to navigate everything from work, internship. I'm not a licensed counselor yet. We're on the journey to that, so it's a lot of navigating as well, one step at a time.
Awesome, ladies. So, again, guys, thank you for joining us this evening. We have three unique perspectives of just navigating life after graduation. And so, that is exactly what we're going to be talking about. So, my first question for all three of you all, as you were preparing for graduation, right? What did you think life after college would look like? And how has the reality compared to that expectation? Because it's one thing to think of how it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. And then when you step into it, how did it show up for you? We'll start with Anna.
My expectations. To be completely honest, I had the vision of going to play softball overseas. And then I went to Puerto Rico to play. And then when I ended up tearing my knee, that sent me down like a path that was unexpected, obviously. And so I think that prior to graduation, I thought maybe I would work a job or, travel and do this and that. And it really hasn't looked like any of those things yet because in reality, like a year is a smaller window of time, and so much of it has just been like taking it day by day, recovery, finding seasonal jobs, different things like that. So it looks kind of what I thought it was going to look like, but also things, you run into roadblocks, and so it kind of sends you down different paths that you may not have expected. So it that I didn't plan for, obviously, but now it's just about like pivoting, like Kanisha always says, and making adjustments to whatever you can.
Absolutely. Rudy?
Um, to prepare preparing for graduation, I just knew that it was gonna come. The day was gonna come where I walk across the stage finally. But as well, I did know that at that end of that cross that stage, that I knew it was gonna be the light of the tunnel. That was kind of gonna be hard. That finding a job and being in the major of sports medicine is not something that you can just find right away. If you don't have certifications, if you don't have pursuing other like your degrees furthermore. So I knew I was going to hit that roadblock, but at the same time, preparing my mindset and letting myself know that to not be discouraged, that at one point of time I will find that job and someone will open that door for me.
That's good. Rochelle, what about you?
Yeah, I think kind of connected with what both Anna and Rudy said. I think before it happens, you're expecting, you're planning. If anyone else is like me, I love planning, organizing as far as I can. But reality is, there's a lot about life that is out of our control, and there's only so much within our control. And so I think the bigger vision is there, and I'm getting to live some of that out. But the way I got here hasn't always happened the way I thought it would. There were some things that got changed around, and I think that'll just keep happening in life. So, as we'll discuss today, it's more of how do we bounce back, or I think Anna mentioned like pivot. How do you adjust? How are we shifting our mindset, as Rudy mentioned, as those changes keep coming? So, we set our goals, we have plans, but maybe the way we get there might look different, and that's kind of what I'm living out. So.
Yeah. No, that's very true, right? We all have goals and plans and dreams, but life is going to do what it wants to do. I know when I kind of reflect back on when I graduated, just a few years ago, not too many. Uh, for those who know my story, I was coming back from a life altering experience, if you will. So I was just excited to be even graduating just because I didn't even think that graduation was even possible. So I just wanted to get across the stage and finish and accomplish something because it didn't even feel like it was possible for me. So I wasn't even thinking about what was next. I was just kind of like in the moment. But the truth of the matter is, I wasn't prepared. I did not have my next. I actually posted about it. I took a vacation. I went on my first international trip, and I was like, hey, let's just do this to culminate this, achievement. But what comes after this, I don't know. I don't know. And so a lot of us can be like that. Some people do have plans, some people already have their next lined up, and then some of us are trying to figure it out. So, another question I want to ask all three of you, what has been the hardest adjustment since graduation? What is that one adjustment, although it's kind of still a little off, right? We're still in the summer, which is strategically normal. But for you, Anna, I don't know, would you all be doing certain things right now with your softball team that you're not doing since you're not a student? Talk about what are some of the hardest things that you've experienced now since you graduated.
Yeah, some of the challenges that I've faced have been like that lack of structure, especially from the student athlete perspective. I guess I was just really good at following whatever my coaches and my teammates, you do what they say to do, and that's how it is. And um, the second that you graduate, it becomes more of like you're the creator, you create your schedule and you create your workouts and your lifestyle. So that has been a noticeable change. Maybe the second thing would be I loved college because of the social aspect. I loved walking around college and talking to all my friends every day, and saying hi to people and saying hi to my professors and like the social interactions, even just going to the cafeteria or the coffee shop made my whole day. And so moving so far away from like some of my best friends and the community that I loved down there in Miami. Feeling just like a bit isolated and not being around those people every day, like the people that lift you up. Like, I'm so grateful to be around my family. It's just a big change when you go from
Mhm.
that school community out into the community where maybe you only see like your coworkers or um, your family or whatever it is, So just that not lack of community, but that
Oh,
feeling of just
yeah.
being away from the people in the place that you love.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I mean, it's good in that you recognize it, but I know that can't be easy because that's something that you've been used to and accustomed to. I want to touch back on one thing on the first point that you mentioned, like the schedule and the routine and like being told what to do. And
Mhm.
so now you're having to, do that yourself. So have you found that as a challenge, or are you using like tools and resources to kind of help you create your own schedule that you can stay to and be accountable for?
Yes, I use my calendar a lot more now. I'm not quite as on autopilot as I was back in college. And just I spent a lot of time thinking about, like how do I want to create this to where it works best for me. I don't work full time. I work a bunch of part-time jobs
Mhm.
to kind of match like the schedule that works for me in this chapter. It's definitely I don't want to do it long term, but it works really well for this era of my life that I'm in right now. So I just kind of looked at it and tried to build something that would give me it really does help me to like with my different part-time jobs to know that like I'm able to section things out, and it is a little bit of structure. So I'm okay with that, because I'm already as a person like very go with the flow, and I was able to just kind of like breeze through college because I was in that environment and everything, and it just worked. But now I just have to get the dates and like Rachel mentioned earlier, like plan things out, be very organized, and that's something that that's a skill that I'm still working to develop.
Gotcha. Rudy, what's one of the hardest things that you've endured since graduating?
Oh, the one thing I would say is just enjoying my time now. I would
Mhm.
say enjoying every second of it because I was so on a schedule, like Anna said, that I have this schedule on this day, Monday. My schedule was like day to day, what time I'm getting out of class, what time I'm getting to the calf. My schedule was set how it was supposed to be set. And then now that I'm like in the real world and real world stuff is hitting, like Kanisha says all the time to me, it's a whole different ball game. So now I'm just trying to enjoy every second of it, especially that now that my friend group are separated as well, which I try to keep in touch with them because we were so close. But just trying to enjoy my space and my one-on-one time because sometimes we socialize so much that our social battery is done. And then I just want to pour back into myself that I was pouring into school with. So just
Mm,
giving back to myself as well as just trying to find a job in my field, still looking, still trying to figure out my next step and see what is next to come with, with me.
that's good. That's good. I tried to tell you. I tried to forewarn you. The real
I
world
don't
might
like
be.
it.
We come on over here. Rochelle, what about you? What is one of the hardest things that you've endured during this season?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar to what they both have shared. I think in my undergrad, coming out of um, the first degree that I got, I went back to the Philippines right away. And then I did get a job, but it was at my grandparents' school. And so it was like whether you've been in a school for 4 or 5 years or you've been transferring over and over, you change through college, you grow, and then you go back to your hometown or you go back to your home city, and it doesn't feel like everyone else has changed much. And so there's a weight that you carry. And I think that was a big transition because not only was I carrying so much, I was only at ORU on campus for 1 year, but I grew and experienced so much. And so I think that was a challenge moving back to that city and being in the Philippines and stepping into an administrative role right away and just having expectations and things. And then this time around, it's kind of the opposite. I'm staying in Tulsa, and now I'm learning how to navigate this city outside of the college and outside of school and friends moving and leaving and going. So I think in both cases, it's learning how to figure out who you are and pour back into you, as Rudy was saying, and figure out the people around you that you do have or how you can pour into and be poured into. Um, while there are all these changes happening. So I think it's just learning to carry the weight
Mm.
throughout this time, even though they both look different in my experience.
That's really good. You brought up a really good point. It is difficult going back home, right? You think that everybody is on the same wavelength. Maybe we all didn't go to the same schools, or, you went and they didn't. And the reality is that, yeah, college does evolve you, right? It matures you. It's supposed to. That's the whole point of it. But when you go back, feeling like I've evolved and they haven't. And so I wonder, Anna, real quick, did you experience some of that? Because, you came down to Miami, and I know you're from Minnesota, right?
Montana.
Montana.
Close
And
enough.
so I caught
Yeah.
right. One of those M's.
Yeah.
And so I wonder for you, did you run into that same type of experience, having this, South Florida experience and then going back home?
Absolutely. It's hard to it's hard to put into words almost because um my experience in South Florida and at St. Thomas specifically was like, oh gosh, it was the best thing that ever, like it was the best chapter of my life, one of the best chapters of my life. And so it's something that I am extremely grateful for. And I have Montana, a place that I love so much. My family is here. Um, and it's not that I I uh I didn't envision myself coming back necessarily. That just wasn't on my mind. And then of course, like I said, it just happens. I got pushed this way, and so I try to think to myself, there is a reason. And so that's why I try to be very intentional about like spending quality time with my family, and things like that. And using this chapter, even though it's not what I thought it was going to look like, just try and take the best moments out of this chapter and to prepare for the next chapter. And then to your original point, Kanisha, it has been, I don't, it's hard to say, like
Yeah.
you're trying to reconnect with maybe,
Like
I
that
was like,
high
I had
school.
this experience, like this amazing experience and that changed me as a person. And then when I come back to a place where people know a version of me from maybe like 5 years ago, right? And all of a sudden, like you're grown up and everybody changes and everyone takes different paths and
Mm.
has different visions for your life, and I've always kind of had like kind of a non-traditional vision for my life. And so in your early 20s, like post grad, like everyone starts to kind of go their own ways. And so when you recross paths with them,
Mm.
kind of like Rochelle was saying, like it is a little strange or whatnot. It's this whole process of just kind of like everybody like evolving and becoming themselves and going down whichever path they choose, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'll tell you from being on the latter years, it's going to continue, right?
Mhm.
You guys know I'm from Kentucky. So when I go home and I see people and I'm like, you guys are still doing the same stuff. I'm like, y'all haven't changed at all. And I hate to say it, like it's going to continue to happen, but it should give you a little bit of pride too that, you took the leap of faith. You betted on yourself. You went out there and you tried something. A lot of people are scared to even try. That's why they stay in their hometowns and they stay stuck. I hate to say it like that. But you have the pride of saying, no, I have gone out. I have went to college and I took this internship and I traveled to play softball. Like, you'll have these amazing stories that you'll be able to come back and, empower the next generation of young people. So hold on to it. It's a weird feeling. It is, but celebrate yourself for doing it because a lot of people, they don't do it for whatever reason. So Rochelle, I want to ask you this question. Why do so many student athletes struggle with identity after graduation? And what can they do to help navigate their transition in a healthy way? If you've got some tips and tools for us.
Yeah, I think this is timely.
Mhm.
I got to work with our athletics department over the past 2 years, and so this has definitely been a topic that's been brought up, speaking about it with my supervisor and fellow colleagues about this. I think from a psychology and counseling side, if you've heard of like the stages of development or the way that people grow through life through different stages, and there are different values and different things that we look towards. Um, Everyone grows through them, and especially for athletes, there's already an immediate connection to my role, to what I value, to the routine that I have, to the expectations that my family, friends, coaches, there's like an additional layer of what athletes have to go through when, especially those who started very young. So it's already started shaping them throughout the stages of development. And I think now we can say even more athletics is a lot like a career. It's
Mhm.
already like a job. A lot of college athletes feel that. And so growing up in this kind of sphere, the idea is you're already working towards a career without realizing it, or maybe some do and they want to go pro or they have big dreams and big ideas in sports. And so you think about it, and that's a lot more mental work and a lot more emotional work and pressure and things that we put on the kids growing up in athletics. It's not all bad, as you both may be able to testify, but there is a lot more to being a student athlete than people realize. It bleeds into every area of life. And if you think about it, rarely is there a job that bleeds into every area of life the way that athletics does. And so if another job like teaching were to affect every single part of life from relationships and work and maybe faith and the discipline, the routines that you have, it might be a little unhealthy. We might say, okay, there are some balances and boundaries that need to be addressed, but in athletics, we don't really have that. I think growing up and kind of what you both were saying is there's a structure and a routine that you just take from the coaches and maybe even athletic staff and just everybody around you. You're just taking all these things in naturally as you should as an athlete. And once you step out, it
Mhm.
kind of feels shaken because this was my job. This is what I felt like I had to do from eating. My diet was, watched, or the way I had self-care, the way I did pour into myself, or the way I did relate to other people, or the social things that we did were all kind of just monitored by athletics. And now that you're out of it, how does every part of my life, like what are the balances and what are the boundaries that I can find? And now it's trying to live a healthy life where maybe in athletics in college, we didn't realize the boundaries and everything were being so controlled. And now that it's in your control, kind of what Anna was saying, it's learning how to, I guess the first tip is how to find the boundaries and the balance within your life, a work-life balance, basically, where career is not going to take over every single part of your life the way maybe athletics did, where one thing is not going to become your entire Like it's not going to take control over everything. It's learning to find who you are outside of the work that you do. For some athletes, maybe they got to experience that throughout college and it helped them transition. But for most, it's really been a part of the identity from the way you've just grown and the social environments you are in to the routines. And especially if parents are very much into the sport you played, then that's an even bigger pressure and role that you had. And so learning to find your boundaries and the balance is definitely a very big thing. Coming out, what routines work for you. I think Anna might have mentioned finding realistic things too.
Mhm.
I think sometimes we can have such big dreams and goals of where we want to be, what we want to do, even when it comes to working out. Let's say, like, you're done with college, you've graduated, and you used to be doing weights and running and going and doing all these things, and now you're like, I should still keep doing that, or what should I still do to keep myself active? I don't just want to stop. But then what's realistic for you right now versus what's just ideal? I think that's learning the balance of what works best for you. And just, I think it would help to just sit back and pause and think about who you are as a person. What are the things you love? What are the things you like doing? I think Rudy was like saying taking care of yourself. What does that look like for you without the sport? What does that look like for you with being in a different environment? Learning to find the other roles that you have in life as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, maybe in the new jobs that you're looking for, the things you want to do, like grad school or future things. What are your dreams and aspirations? I think it's a grounding experience, learning to just step back and see a bigger picture, but at the same time, the realistic things you have in front of you, if that makes sense. Just trying not to overwhelm yourself. I know the world can be overwhelming already, and there are people who keep asking the same questions. What are your plans? They expect you to know everything when really no one does right after. Like, no one has control over every day. So, just learning to have that pause and find the balance, what works for you, discover who you are outside of what you do, because those are different things. Work and career are not who you are, but they are a part of what you do and what you do in life. So, just learning to embrace who you are and the different parts of you outside of sport, if that makes sense. I hope that answers the question too.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I think sometimes athletes, and maybe, Anna, you could say yay or nay, and you too, Rudy, but it's like sometimes you don't get the permission to just stop and even process. It's like you've been going for so long, you've been
Mhm.
told what to do for so long that now you actually have the freedom to decide and to make those plans. But it's like I don't even know where to begin because for so long everyone has told me what to do. And so it's actually freeing, I would think, to be able to step back and say, what do I really want? I played this sport, I love the sport, but I did get told what to do a lot in this sport. And so now you get to take your life by the reins and actually decide what's next. What do I enjoy? What do I not like that I had to endure because I was an athlete? So you raised some very valid points there that I hope, our listeners are able to tangibly take away, especially for those who are student athletes who are just kind of in that realm of what do I do next and, how am I supposed to process this? That actually goes into the next question that I have for Rudy. So, Rudy, I know where your next is going, but I'll say it like this. You're currently waiting to hear about grad school, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, while also looking for a job. What has that uncertainty been like for you?
That uncertainty really has been just taking a minute and to put my trust in God and just being patient with myself and just letting it be. Just letting not myself take the wheel. So just being patient, staying stagnant, and just writing and letting him just lead the way and just I follow. As I finally probably just got decisions and finalizing everything that my next chapter is going to be like, it is not in sports medicine, but I am trying to drift into sports administration, which is two different things, but it still has to do with sports because sport was flag just had my heart from the beginning since I started freshman year of high school and continued and becoming a walk on at Florida Memorial University and seeing the actual difference from high school and college. And that's when I realized how much love I had for the sport, not only just the sport, but my team and giving back to my teammates as much as I give back to myself. So I would say I just being patient and letting myself know that those answers will come, just not on my timing.
Mm. It will come, but not on your timing. That's a very real assessment. For anybody, that's listening. I know we get in a rush and it's like, I need answers now. Why haven't I heard back? And, what's taking so long? Waiting for grad school. I'm gonna tell you, people are on vacation. They not thinking about you right now. But you're anxious. You're wanting to know, what your next is going to be. So it's taking the time while you're waiting to wait the right way. Don't worry yourself to death, literally. Like, don't worry yourself into making yourself sick. Like, no, enjoy this time. Understand that you have done everything that you can do. You've done all the right things. You have met the deadlines and submitted all the letters of recommendation, and just trust and believe that whatever is meant for you is not going to miss you. So if grad school and that particular school in that particular program is a part of your next chapter, it will unfold for you. If not, because sometimes it's just not, right? It may not be the right time. It may not have been the right school. And sometimes we get down and discouraged because, the things that we want don't come to fruition. But when we can rest and understand that anything that is meant for you, what's on your next journey, what is promised for you is not going to miss you, it'll give you a little bit of peace of knowing when your next is coming and that next has already been pre-designed for you. So I want to, just celebrate you in this moment for having patience and waiting and just knowing that it's coming. Whenever it comes, it is coming your way. So, next question I want to ask for all three of you, and I'll start with Anna. What's one thing that you learned about career success? If you have even a thought of what career success would look like, what is one thing that you learned about career success that you wish you knew as a freshman? So think about it in this way. When you first got to college and, you thought that success would look like, I don't know what it would look like for you and each of you individually, but whatever you thought that was going to be, now being on the other side, what does career success actually look like for you going forward?
That's a good question. As a freshman in college, not a lot was on my mind about career success. I had my focus on softball. And to be completely honest, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have, I tell my mom occasionally, like, oh, I wish I would have looked into, done more internships or whatnot. And sometimes I beat myself up over that, but the reality is some of the internships were during the summer, and the summer didn't work for me because I was working to pay for school that next semester. So giving myself some grace there. My time with softball kind of limited my access to, exploring other opportunities like that. And so I'm not sure I'm not sure I know exactly in this chapter what career success for me looks like, but I can say that through speaking with my mom and dad, who have both been through like ups and downs in their careers, I think it's really the thing that's most important to me is finding something that I'm able to live like a balanced lifestyle and spend a lot of time with the things that are like most important to me and the people that are most important to me. I have never been one to I can always be hardworking and dedicated and committed, but I would never want to lose that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go all in and um, put a lot of time and attention towards something that I'm passionate about or interested in, but I don't want to be drowning in work to achieve some higher level of success. You know, I really want to find that balance where I can live a humble lifestyle and still like be close to the things that are important to me.
I love that. I love that. Rudy?
So the one thing I honestly don't know what like
Mhm.
anything.
And that's fine.
I was, and like I said, going back, starting that little girl at Florida Memorial University, not knowing what was to come, no idea, just trying to figure it out on her own, who have one side of the family is international, and the other family side is from here, but they didn't go to college. So just trying to figure it out all by myself. And having the people, the community, the friends that were around me, whose parents who poured into me and told me this is the way to go. And I was like, okay, well, you went to college, so I guess I'm going to follow your lead. So I took my leap of faith and I followed her lead, continued, and I led myself into Florida Memorial. And then find out they had flag football there. And once I knew the coach, I went to the coach and was like, went running. And I told the coach, hey, I know I had a gap year, but I still have a love for flag football. Is there a spot for me? And he looked at me like, who are you? And I don't know who you are. But you seem very dedicated and you're very passionate with what you just told me. So he's like, okay, come to practice. Practice hasn't started. We're doing conditioning. Just come out and see, and we'll go from there. So that's my little snippet of Florida Memorial. And then not everything working in my favor, that they didn't have my major there. And so I had to take another leap of faith and saying, where am I going to go now? So I knew I wanted to be a little bit away from home, but I didn't want to be too far away from home. So I knew right across the street,
Right across the
St. Thomas
street.
University. I was like, okay, I have no idea. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna tour the school, see how the school is. No, my next step was nursing and follow the path. And that little old me was like, I don't think nursing is for me anymore. The first semester I was there. And I was like, sitting on it. And I joined a lot of organizations, which I was a part of campus activity board, which is John Jackson I spoke to. And I said, I don't think nursing is for me, but my family wanted it for me. And I had to sit with myself and say, Rudy, do you want this for you or do you want it for them? Then I had to sit with myself a little bit longer and was like, at the end of the day, when I have this degree, I'm going to have to be the one working for it. So I said, my passion is in sports. Why not a little, sports medicine? It's still medical and it's sports. Why not? And ever since then, I went the ground running and I never turned back. And for all the community, as well as Kanisha and another professor advisor that I have was Dr. Turk, just poured out to me and never let me change my idea of what I wanted to do, and just made sure that this is something that I want for me and not the outside. So just continue that. I just keep pouring out into myself as much as I know I don't think I was capable of, but other people seen it for me. I just had to see it for myself. So just a little snug for the, upcoming seniors and the people graduating. I would say just believe in yourself. Trust in yourself and know that if this is something you want for you, it will come, it will happen. Just give it some time, sit on it, think about it, and it will happen if you want it to happen.
Yeah, you
It's
you
kind
made
of
a
like,
really, really good point. Sometimes And again, we come from families who they want the best, right? So they're going to tell you what you should do. But at the end of the day, you have to live this. You have to be satisfied. You have to wake up every day and go to that job in that career field. And if you think that you're going to be miserable, then you're going to have to say, you know what? I don't think this is for me. And that sometimes that could be hard, right? Everybody in the family may have gone one way and you're like, I'm going to be the black sheep and I'm going to go another way. But again, like I celebrate you for recognizing that early enough where you could change your major and it wouldn't set you back, to a point where you would have already, gotten too far in. You were able to make that pivot and actually do a hybrid of the two, right? You're merging in the medicine with a field that you enjoy because obviously we have, doctors and physicians in sports too. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. But that's a really good point that you made. Like sometimes we have to block out the noise, and that noise could be your family too, where you have to say, I love you, but this is my life. And I've got to go after this internship. I've got to change my major. I got to move for this job because it's going to help me to get to that career success that I'm hoping and dreaming of. So, really good point you made there, Rudy. Rochelle, what about you?
Yeah, I think that was a good point. I was gonna say the cultural influence, depending on the cultures you're at, that can influence what career success means. For a lot of, I've learned it's not just our culture in the Philippines, but a lot of countries do value medical fields or law or engineering or specific fields that really make you seem successful in a career that you've chosen in any of those fields. And so early on, I think for me, again, being a planner, I think career success was getting the next goal of graduating, having a job, working in counseling or working in this field. But I think the more that I was in college and even in grad school, it's learning kind of what Anna was saying, learning what life you want to live that's beyond work. And so what is the totality and the purpose of the life that you want? And so I think it's like redefining what success meant for life and then realizing career was just a part of it. And
Mm.
not everyone sees it that way. And so, of course, everyone has the questions of what internship, what job, what's something stable you can rely on? Is what you're choosing something just out of passion or is it realistic? Like there are lots of back and forths that come with many opinions around us. And so I think definitely learning to navigate both, where you figure out what I'm liking and in counseling and sports counseling and even in writing on the other side. Like I love to write and I love the whole book world kind of thing and learning to navigate how to tell people that this is what I like and there is a realistic way of achieving this, but then also still staying grounded and knowing like, well, I believe that God wants me to do this and that I get to live out this purpose through this kind of work or this kind of internship or this opportunity. So learning to kind of balance hearing family and friends and people around us and weighing in their counsel and weighing in their guidance, but still staying grounded in what I believe I want to do and what I'm passionate about and what I love. I think that's a big part of discovering what career success is because then I say, well, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, it'll be purposeful either way because I know who I am and what I want to do. And so I've been blessed that what I get to do kind of just bleeds into wherever I am and what I'm doing. And it doesn't just have to be limited to one job. I think the career success has become a bigger picture of different opportunities throughout life, um, leading up to the life that I would want to live, if that makes sense. So kind of tying in with what Rudy and I've already shared, but
Oh
yeah.
no, no, no. That's good. In the fact that, careers and the idea of success is going to change. There is no one straight path. There is no one, you know, straight line to whatever this thing, you consider success to be. I had the privilege of doing an internship, a pretty major internship. So I was exposed very early into what I thought that I wanted my career to be. Going for an internship with the Orange Bowl during a national championship year, I mean, I saw the pinnacle of sports, if you will. And so I just knew I was going to be a GM one day. I just knew I was going to be that girl, right? And that is what I was clawing my way after for a long time. But then things happen, right? We get a little older, then we get a family, and then you have a child. And so, things along your path, although you may have this idea of what success could look like, other things are going to come along the way. And so, I share that just as you guys are figuring out what is next and how to establish your career as it's, taking shape. Understand that it may not have just one straight linear path. I always say it's a roller coaster ride, right? And I'm still, trying to figure things out. Heck, I've made a whole career pivot a little bit, so all of these things are going to happen. There's no wrong answer. The only wrong answer is to do nothing, is to graduate and then to sit on your parents' couch and do nothing, right? As long as you're continuing to try, to continue to say, you know what, I think I want to do this, or I may want to stick my hand in that. You'll never really know what you're good at, what you love, unless you keep moving. And so, I just say the number one advice would be just to always keep going, to use your resources, use your network, connect with people that you have made contact with, make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date, right? All of those things are going to be helpful to help get you along this journey of what you consider success to be. So, my next question is for Anna and Rudy, because again, we're talking about success, we're talking about the next chapter, but then there's the very real part of this season of just not knowing, right? And there could be some apprehensions of seeing your classmates and seeing your friends who have got accepted to school, who are getting ready to move for their first job, right? And so I want to ask both of you, just what does that feel like? Or if you have experienced this, right? What have you been doing to take care of yourself from a mental wellness perspective during this season of transition? Because it can't be easy, I'm sure, just kind of in this waiting, not knowing what's next. And so just want to ask from a very transparent place, how are you taking care of your mental wellness? What are some practical things that you're doing to just, take care of yourself while you're in this season of transition?
Yeah, that's a great perspective or a great thought. And it is a challenge when you all separate from college and you see friends going different ways, and then all of a sudden everybody's in different chapters of their life or different stages of their career. Um, as far as taking care of myself, and my mental well-being, I'm gonna be honest to all of the people listening, like it's not always pretty. Like since graduation, like my mental health has been kind of up and down and all over the place. I rely a lot on my mom. She has helped me through a lot of it. And my dad, they know the situation, and that I didn't necessarily intend to be where I am at, but they have, helped me get the focus, and like maintain that confidence. Softball brought me a lot of confidence on the field. And then once I didn't have that, I felt my confidence in myself kind of start to fall. And then of course you start comparing, and just like you mentioned, Kanisha, seeing what everyone else is doing. And so for me, I have the biggest thing that has helped me has been reconnecting with things that I used to love doing. Specifically as like a kid, or even like before softball in college became my whole life, like I had all of these other hobbies and passions that I love to do, but the time was just dedicated to softball and school and all that stuff. And so reconnecting with those things and kind of really like asking myself the hard questions of like, who am I? What do I want? What are my true interests? And now that I have more time to think about that, it has helped me kind of um it's helped me kind of like change into this like this person outside of softball, figuring out what I love most and what I'm interested in. And that passion and energy that I put into softball, figuring out an area that I can redirect that to.
Now, Anna, I was looking for you to get practical. And the one thing that I was waiting for you to say is that you go up into the mountains. Because I text you and I get a message. So I just assume that the mountain is probably a peaceful place for you.
You are absolutely correct, Kanisha. I actually
I
just
get the little satellite message. I'm like, oh, she in the mountains.
yeah, I know. So actually to another point that I didn't touch on in that is the another thing that I have been doing is trying out different industries almost, like this winter I was in the ski industry working a job up at a ski resort, and now I just took a part-time job at the airport. So I get to be around like airplanes and things that I also really love and am really interested in. And um, let's see here. Yeah, like you said, Kanisha, the mountains are also a place that I love to be. So like I'm any day that I can, I am up there and just like going to the places that I love, but also just kind of like experimenting with different things, like trying a job out and it's like, oh, maybe I don't like that job, and like you're not committed to it, for too, just trying out different things and seeing
The
what
graphic
sticks.
designing.
Yes, I do, like just
See?
random things, like trying to explain this chapter of my life to people is like I don't even know where to start because I truly am just like all over the place. Like it, Kanisha. Like I do a little bit of graphic design, I do a little bit of this and that, and it's like I'm just trying to figure out like
It's okay.
truly what calls to me the most.
And that is absolutely okay. Like, this is that time to figure it out. Yes, you did get your degree in sports, and I mean, you and I have talked offline, so I don't know how much you want to share, but like, I know what you're considering doing next too. But that
Mhm.
is what the beauty of all of this is about, is putting your toe and putting your foot into things that you just want to try, because you never know, right? And that's why I say, like, if we can find you an internship where you can actually get into it, it
Mhm.
gives you the ability to try something out without the pressure of being a full-time employee and being subject to getting fired because you mess up, right? That's why I tell people all the time, like, you've got to do internships. It gives you that kind of grace and mercy to mess up before you actually are on the hook for something. But you're doing that on your own. You're kind of doing like your own unofficial internship, right? With just trying different things, taking part-time jobs and seeing if this is what you like, if this is something that you want to, grow into. That is the beautiful thing about this time period. And, know that you're at home, right? You're not in a position where you have to go find a job. You have to go and do these things. Of course, you want to have your own resources. You want to take care of yourself. But giving yourself that grace to know that right now I have a family that supports me and they are, on board with me figuring things out, takes off some of that pressure. So, I want to celebrate you for just even wanting to try something, because there could be people who just like, I just give up and I don't want to. But you're definitely in that position where you're like, nope, I'm just gonna try it. Whatever I like, I like. And eventually, I know that your heart is gonna land somewhere, and from there is when you're gonna shoot straight up. So good for you. Rudy, what are you doing to protect your mental wellness during this time?
I do want to applaud Anna. Give your applause and your claps. From being so far away from home and going back home and trying to navigate. Because I know it's definitely hard to have a family that you had down south and that you made and you cherished so much, and then having to go back to your actual roots is something really hard to like let go of. So I definitely, applaud you, and I'm happy for what's next to come, even though we don't talk that much. But I know you are doing like good things on the behind the scenes. So I just can't wait to hear for your next steps. Um, but to tap into me and how I'm battling my mental health was or is fitness. So I tapped into working out, pouring into myself as much as I love pouring into other people. If you didn't know, I had a lot of hats on campus at St. Thomas University. I was a CAB director, which is Campus Activity Board Director. director for a good 2 to 3 years. My senior year, I kind of stepped down a little bit with battling a lot of other things that I was going through, then becoming a resident assistant, having about 50 something residents that I had to take care of. So pouring myself into them, and as well as just having, my friends' lives, my day to day life, my family's lives. It was just, I was always, which I don't mind, always pouring out to people and giving as much as my love to them. So I'm in the season of pouring back into myself 100%, which is going into fitness. Because one thing that I did during at St. Thomas was therapy, and she kind of tapped in and telling me, why don't you go back to your roots of working out? What made you stop just because you're not in flag football anymore? Why don't you, tap back into that? And because exercise is one of those things that will help. So I said, okay, let me try that. So I actually tapped back in, and I'm loving it. I feel
You're
like
a
I'm
full
back.
influencer now.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to motivate people just like I give back to myself. So I'm trying to give back to other people by letting them know, posting videos, showing them that fitness is the way to go. Sometimes it might seem far away, but it's not about, oh, what is on the scale and what it looks like, but it's more about being disciplined and showing up for yourself. So I'm in the season of just showing up for myself. Exercising is one of them, and still continue doing things that I loved before, school, which is going to church, being in organizations, giving back to the community is one thing that I love doing. And my friends, like still trying to touch base with them because I hate being far away from people. So I would say, like, trying to keep my little circle that I had on campus still alive because we were so close. We all in the same major. We all understand each other. And we all went through the same classes and understand what we were going through. Because somebody from a different major probably don't understand what class we were taking and understand our shoes that we went through. So the little circle that I have, even though they're probably a good 30 to an hour away from me, but still trying to keep in touch with them, still linking up and still doing things that we like to do on campus, just now outside of campus, and still enjoying, that little life that I have because I still have more to come.
That's good. Yeah, exercise is definitely a good one. I try to walk if I can, get in the gym, something. But I mean, you keep me motivated, okay? So whatever you're doing, it's doing. Okay, it's working. All right. I feel like, dang, she
Thank
wasn't
you, thank you.
doing
I'm trying. I'm trying to reach out to the people.
that. It's working. Okay, so this one's kind of a little fun question-ish, a little bit. Because I tease y'all all the time. And Rochelle, you can hop into this one too, because I think you can probably attest to this. What is the biggest surprise about adulthood so far? Like real adulthood. Like college, you think you're adults, but y'all still babies. But now y'all have crossed the threshold, as I like to say, the real world. So tell me one thing that you are realizing about adulthood that you like, I don't know if this is what it's cracked up to be.
Let's see. Um, I think I would say the one thing I'm realizing is that everybody is really just out here like trying to do their best, and everyone is just doing the best they can with what they got. And the reality is that everyone is dealt different cards, different hands, and so everybody is really just doing the best that they can.
That's good. You are right. We all just trying to figure it out.
All just trying to figure it out. And a lot of people are just, like grown-up kids. They love the same things and they just want to do that, but sometimes like life kind of tries to disconnect you from that. But if you can just kind of keep it as light and as, I don't know, as good as you can with what you got, like that's what I've noticed.
That's good. That's good. Rudy, what you got?
I would say you continue to say this all the time to me. Welcome to the other side. And it's not that pleasant, you know? It's definitely funny, like, we laugh about it. But it's a whole different ball game. And I'm just trying to balance it and trying to figure it out as a young Black woman in this world, because it's not that easy. So I'm just really just trying to balance and figure it out, like Anna said, and just trying to enjoy it because we don't know what tomorrow could look like. So we just trying to enjoy and do the little things that we go back to and remember and say, dang, this is something that I enjoyed back then. Let me tap back into it. So just trying to tap in to the things that we did like before, that soon to be adult stuff started to happen and college and the people we're around end up changing our mindset, but just try to like tap back into those small little things that we enjoyed, probably like watching cartoons like back then and listen to those throwbacks that we probably listened to. Just enjoy the little things because the little things go a long way.
Absolutely. You got to find pockets of time to do things that you enjoy because the stress will be there, the bills will be there, the headaches will be there. So if you can carve out just a little bit of moments, a little bit of time to binge watch a show or something, you better do it. It's going to help regulate you. Rochelle, what you got?
I think there are two sides to what I would say, and they're kind of related to what Anna and Rudy have already talked about. On one end, realizing that there are a lot of big things, a lot of heavy things that we have to figure out on our own. Can't immediately call parents, can't immediately call a professor, you have to step up and figure it out on your own. But at the same time, looking back, stepping up and showing up, we realize how much we can actually do. And so I think it's two sides of, yes, there are lots of big, heavy, life-changing decisions that can be made, whether it's day to day or in moments at a time throughout the season. But at the same time, it just shows, oh, I'm making it. Oh, every day actually counted a lot more than I thought it did, or every decision actually impacted um, the next decisions or the people around me a lot more than I thought they would. And sometimes it's like looking at my apartment and being like, I live here? How did we get here? And so just realizing that, okay, there were steps we showed up and did, and now we're here. And so, yes, there's a lot of hard things, but yes, there's also a lot of strength and grace given. And we have come a long way. We finished college. Like, that's already something to be proud of and grateful for. And I guess kind of tying it into the career thing is like we always keep moving the goalpost of what we need to achieve and we forget like we've already done things and we have shown up every day. So I think stepping into adulthood is seeing that both sides of that a lot more. And I like how they both mentioned to keep the childlikeness because that is very important and it brings a lot more joy and color into life. So
Absolutely. Those are good. Those are good, guys. All right, so I've got kind of one final question for the group. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice during your final semester of college, what would it be? What would you tell little Anna, little Rudy, little Rochelle that last semester to prepare you for this thing called life?
Oh man, I would I would go back and tell her to take as many photos as possible, go
Mm.
out with your friends as many times as you can, connect with everybody that you can, don't skip any event. Um, gosh, where to it? Like you live in Miami, like you live in Miami, enjoy it, you know. Just to basically just be extremely present, get off your phone, and just be present with everything around you because like it is such a unique and fun chapter of your life that it just doesn't get any better. I mean, it can get better, but it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be the peak, or whatever, but it can be just such a great experience. And so I would just tell her to like be extremely present, take a lot of photos, and never say no to an opportunity to have fun.
That's real good. That's real good. Rudy.
Um, exactly what Anna said. Like, no but about it. I would say to myself, just to enjoy it. Enjoy the last minute, you know, being in my dorm, making videos with my friends, stressing about the next test we are gonna have the next day. I would just say everything. I would honestly, when I sit back and I'm not in school right now and I tell my friends, I'm like, dang, what would we, at this time, like right now, what would we be doing on campus? And we always just say, dang, we would be in the calf right now, like just eating. It's just like the little things, like the little laughs, the little events, the little things just on campus that we don't have in the real world. I would just say enjoy every little piece of it because once it's gone, it's gone. It might not be gone in that way, but that phase that you were going through in that chapter of your life is gone and you're going to have to go to the next page. So I would just say to my little self back then, that was like
2 weeks
about a
ago.
month, 2 months ago, that it feels 2 weeks ago, that I would say I think I enjoyed every bit of it. I think I enjoyed every little bit, even though it was those stressful classes that I had that I was just like pouring out, crying, saying, why am I doing this to myself? But looking back at it now, I loved it. I feel like it driven me to do so much more for myself. And looking back at it, I feel like I'm more disciplined to do more. I'm more willing to just take my leap and just go and run for it. So I would just say, just enjoy every little bit because, you don't want to take it for granted.
That's true. And Rochelle?
It's a little similar, but I'm gonna put it in different words. It sounds like the acknowledgement of what you're grieving has already been noted.
Mm,
And so I think that's how I am, both times, both of the last semesters in undergrad and grad. I'm the kind of person to already take note of, okay, these things are going to change. I'm the kind of person, and my friends know I will be taking pictures and photos and like photos and pictures and videos and taking all the memories into moments that we can save for later. But I think also just I would tell myself, and I have, but I would want to emphasize it more to just give yourself grace as you're navigating the grief that's about to come, because grief isn't just, and I know Miss Kenesha, there are conversations about this, whether it's with people or um, places that we're gonna miss or the routines that we're gonna miss, the person that we are in college versus now
yeah,
missing certain things. And so I think as we're preparing for this season, navigating grief in the seasons, and that will continue throughout life, just having grace through it because we're all going through life for the first time. And so just kind of breathe and not put unnecessary pressure that I don't need to carry amidst everything. So, yeah.
that's good. That's good. Yeah, because a loss is a loss. It doesn't just have to be the loss of a loved one, right? The loss of the routine and just the normalcy of what college brought, right? You probably were scared and afraid when you came in as a freshman, but you eventually found your way. And so that became normal. And then now that has been, abruptly taken. Although that's for a good reason, right? We graduated, but still there's a transition nonetheless. So honoring that moment, but not also forgetting the moments as well. Well, ladies, I want to thank you all just so much for sharing just your personal insights, your personal journeys, your hearts as it relates to this season as we consider this transition and navigating life after graduation. It is not easy, of course. I can tell you that, there's ebbs and flows that come with this, there's highs and lows that come with this, but as long as you're committed to staying the course and, committed to figuring out whatever it is that you enjoy and you love and just throwing everything to it, I promise you that there is beauty on the other side that is waiting for you. So for all three of you ladies, I got your back and we'll celebrate you along the way in whatever, your paths may take you. But again, I just want to say thank you for sharing and being here this evening. Um, with that being said, this is recorded. We'll make sure that we share this out because I think we've had a very good conversation, and there's more people who need to hear this, hear just the realities of what happens next after graduation. So, thank you all, and have yourselves a good evening.
Thank you, Kanisha. Can I give a quick shout out real quick?
Yes, by all.
Charles Gamble is on here, and Charles, he helped with the broadcast for our softball. But not only that, he's so much more than broadcast. He was like just our biggest fan and our biggest supporter, and
Oh,
a
well,
good friend of
Charles.
mine. So Charles, I just wanted to say thank you, like, for showing up for GCU and for always showing up for all of our softball games. And you mean a lot to the softball team. We are so appreciative of the things that you do. So just like thank you for being here.
Oh, hi, Charles. Shout out to you.
Charles is on there. I see his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's very cool.
Charles is awesome. Y'all should connect with him too. I think. Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Charles is gonna do big things. Like he's out there in Miami, like doing all the internships
Well,
and
Charles, you got to come and find me this fall, okay?
yeah,
I ain't know
yeah.
nothing about you. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, stay on here, ladies. I'm going to end this really quick.